Christianic CYInterview covering Las Vegas and the world. If you haven't already, please hit the like button below and please hit the subscribe button below to keep up with everything we have going on here. CYInterview in Las Vegas and beyond. Great, we appreciate. Today we're going to revisit our CYInterview from 2009 with actress Kathleen Turner, known for her roles in the famous movies Body Heat and Romancing the Stone. Here is our CYInterview with Kathleen Turner.
Christianic here with you. Joining me today, she has entertained us in film, on Broadway, on television, and she's been around for numerous decades, showing us her tremendous acting talent in numerous different roles. Her book is now out in paperback. It's called Send Yourself Roses, The Amazing Kathleen Turner. Thank you for joining me today. How you doing?
I'm doing very well, thank you.
You are open in the book about your battles with arthritis, and as far as you say, it's currently in a remission stage. How are you doing today, and how does it still impact your life?
Well, actually, at the moment, it's having a great impact. I'm doing a play off Broadway right now down at the Lucille Lortel called The Third Story, and given that it's always a little more difficult in the winter, the backstage is essentially it consists of just steep stairs going up and down. I am having difficulty, and in fact, I think I will probably have to have another knee replacement, which is no fun. But if I want to work, which I do because that's my love, that's what I have to do.
Well, for years you decided not to disclose that you had the arthritis, and the press made numerous negative assumptions about you.
Yes.
What do you think was the main reason you didn't come out and tell the public what was really going on, besides how it would affect your professional career, of course?
Well, that was basically it. I mean, when this first really hit, autoimmune diseases were not very well understood. And I mean, for example, look at Michael Fox, who kept his illness secret for longer than I did, with his MS. Again, because people are frightened of what they don't know and understand, and they would be less willing to rely, to employ you. It's pretty simple.
What do you struggle with most today?
What do I struggle with most? I suppose, are you speaking in terms of rheumatoid arthritis?
Yeah, well, as far as your physical state goes, of course. Yeah, sure.
Yeah, just one of my knees.
You say in the book you're probably most proudest of your daughter, Rachel. I have to say, what are the most important things you've learned about motherhood?
Oh, goodness. Well, I think I probably said in the book, and I'm sure I did, that it's the most extraordinary... I suppose we're all, to a certain extent, at whatever age we may be, we think of ourselves as sort of the center of the universe, and then you have a child, and you get bumped out of the middle. And to me, it was a fabulous feeling of relief. Here was something that was most important, and it made life very simple in terms of, is this good for the child or bad for the child? And to answer that question, answered most conflicts.
Seemed like she became the most important thing to you, and as you saw her progress as her life has gone on, you say that she's just not scared to take chances and go on with things. And with that being said, kind of more confident, I guess, than you when you were growing up, but obviously it was a different era.
Very different. Well, I think for one thing, she's had so much exposure to the world, both in traveling and with extraordinary people that she's met through my life. I think that she has a great sense. She has a much stronger sense of herself at her age than I think I ever did. And she has a very strong talent and passion for her music, and that's a wonderful thing, because you can encourage a child and everything, but you cannot give them a passion. You cannot give them something that they wake up thinking, I have to do this, Mm-hmm. So to be born with that, I think, is the greatest gift.
Well, I definitely want to talk about some of your roles. Before we get into those, though, you played so many different roles, and you made note that you never wanted to be typecasted. But
right.
Do you have any favorite one in particular?
Well, I must confess, oh gosh, I don't know. In film, I truly loved doing the Romancing the Stone with Michael and Danny, because it was just flat out fun. You know, we just had a good time, and I liked the character because she's a good woman, a good heart. You know, I think on stage, of course, just having completed last year a long tour of, I did Broadway and then the West End and then national tour of Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf.
Yeah.
And Martha was a role that I dreamed of doing for almost 30 years. And so to be able to do that and to do it up to my hopes and expectations was, I think, one of the most thrilling experiences I've ever had.
Yeah. Well, when it comes to Body Heat, obviously was the film that put you on the map.
It was my first film, yes.
Yes, you talked about how you weren't really comfortable with your sexuality at that period in your life.
No.
Do you think it's harder for performers to discover their sexual identity and let someone in their personal life?
Oh, sweetheart, I don't know. That's terribly general. I simply wasn't brought up in a world where sexuality was that much of an issue. We just, I wasn't brought up very much in the United States where I believe we have this tremendously hypocritical attitude toward sex, and not very healthy, I think, most of the time. So I was simply, it wasn't that much of an issue to me. Mm-hmm. Not as it is, I think, to most people who grow up in the United States. And so whether it's I don't think there's a specific answer to that question.
Okay. Well, focusing on sex scenes and how Body Heat is, transcended to where we are today, have they gone too far in movies? Are they not meaningful anymore? Do you think there's too much of it?
Well, it depends, like everything else, like elements of violence or anything. It depends on how and why they're used. Sex as an abuse? Yes, I think I'm very disapproving of it. Sex as a celebration of a relationship or love, I'm very approving of it. Like everything else, it depends on the intention behind it.
Okay, well, during the filming of Romancing the Stone, which you admit that you had a blast, you got down and dirty with Danny and with Michael, you openly admit that the point in time that you could have possibly had a long-term relationship with Michael Douglas, and I know that you have a wonderful daughter and had a very long marriage with Jay, but do you ever think what could have been?
Oh, I suppose so. I mean, when I thought I was falling hard for the boy, for Mr. Michael, yeah, I suppose one, fantasizes about the life, but in fact, very, very soon thereafter, and of course very soon after I met Jay, my husband, it's clear to me that is not a world, this world of the Hollywood elite, that kind of money and lifestyle would never have suited me. That would have made me, I think, extremely unhappy. So once again, things work out for the best.
What do you make of these star power couples today and how much press that they get everywhere they go? Is it just gone ridiculous?
Yes, I actually feel very badly for them in some ways. Although, they can use it to some extent for their own interests and charities and commitments. I just find it so relentless and so intrusive, and one of my intentions always was to protect my family from that kind of exposure, and I managed to do that very well, I think.
I think you did very well, too. My question is just with all the press you got over the years and all the things that were said about you, do you think you really let it get to you, or was it just where you just knew that they were all lies and it didn't really bother you?
Because of course it gets to you.
Okay.
Of course it does. I mean, people saying hurtful things about you, I would like to be someone, perhaps, that this stuff just bounces off. But I don't honestly know many people like that, and I'm certainly not like that. Of course it does, but you try and keep it in perspective. You try and say, okay, how important is it? And, how much of this is just, my vanity, or is it an issue I really have to deal with? You just have to try and keep a perspective on these things. But I don't think you can avoid feeling them.
Are you surprised by the public battles that many young stars, actresses have today, like Lindsay Lohan with substance abuse? I know that you had some battles with alcohol over the years, but are you surprised at how magnified these things are and these stars are going through it?
Well, again, it's this incredible invasion of not allowing any private life at all. If you consider people, as I do, to truly be artists, if they have that capability, there should be a certain amount of respect with that. And I think that the coverage and the intrusion that many of these young actors have to put up with is very disrespectful.
Looking at your career in recent years, you've done a lot of Broadway. Again, Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf? I know that you haven't done as much film in recent years, but if you could go back and be in a film, who would you most like to work with, star with, that you haven't had a chance to work with?
I won't say. I will never, ever, talk about names, because I always leave somebody out and I hurt somebody's feelings, and I never mean that to happen. So no, I don't do that. Okay. I don't answer that question.
Okay.
All right.
Well, then let's talk about who you have worked with, besides obviously Michael and Danny DeVito and maybe Jack Nicholson. Who have you most enjoyed working with?
Oh, in film or stage or both?
Anywhere.
I tremendously enjoyed working with Bill Hurt and Larry Kasdan. We worked together both in Body Heat and Accidental Tourists, and Larry wrote and directed both of those as well. And the relationships that we had, putting together that work, I think was very, very special. I had a ball working with John Waters. I saw him the other night. Hey, Benny, I don't know how I got through that. Anyway, I loved working with Bill Irwin as Jovich in Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf. There are very few people I actually have not enjoyed working with, because good work very much comes out of good relationships within the working atmosphere.
Yeah.
Oh gosh, hard to think of everybody. I got a lot of ground to cover here.
Yeah. 30 more years of it still, hopefully.
From your mouth, huh?
Yeah, from my mouth, definitely. Okay, so I want to say, the original copy of Send Yourself Roses got a lot of press, got a lot of attention. 3 weeks on the New York Times bestseller list. Congratulations.
Wasn't that something?
Congratulations.
I did not expect that at all.
Congratulations on that.
Thank you.
There was a legal matter with Nicolas Cage about his 2 DUIs. My question is, how did that end up in there? Was it just not clear memory, or?
Well, I don't think I was supposed to talk about it, in fact. But the thing came about, in fact, because the British law is extremely different from the American in terms of slander or whatever.
Yeah, defamation.
Defamation. Okay, that's a better word. And what was not considered, of course, defamatory here was able to be attacked there. So that really was more in terms of a legal system than me.
Is there any reason why you and Nick Cage have never been on the same page? Is there any reason in particular?
What do you mean?
Well, like the differences. I know that when you guys worked together in the movie, he apologized for his bad behavior over the years, and you said obviously those things had passed. But do you think there's any still tough issues there, or is it is what it is?
No. I mean, as you know, I've worked well with Sophia and Francis. I certainly consider a friend, and I believe he feels the same. No, I don't. We're very different sorts of actors, I think.
Before we close, I have to say, what's in store for you in the future? What would you like to do most? Would you like to do more film? Would you like to do some TV movies?
No, theater.
Yeah.
Theater. No, I have 2 wonderful offers for the fall Broadway season, which I have not yet decided on. But no, that will be my next big project, I think.
And again, how should people feel about your physical state? Should they worry? What should they think about how you're
No,
doing right
I
now?
mean, God knows, I'm a fighter. I'm a very, very hard fighter. So whatever I have to do to, to keep myself in the, in operational form, I will do. So no, don't worry about me.
And the big question is Kathleen Turner still going bachelor, or has she found somebody? Yeah.
Nah, still bachelor.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm still liking that a lot.
One day at a time, enjoying your life, getting to see what you want to do, being independent, enjoying the project
Well, and
coming up.
after, 22 years of marriage and 21 years of motherhood, it's kind of nice to have my own life. Not everybody gets that chance.
And finally, what would you like to say to the people? Again, Send Yourself Roses comes out in paperback this Tuesday, February 9th. What would you like to say to the people in closing? Anything that you'd like them to know?
Yeah, I guess, one of the things I tell my students, because I teach at NYU when I can, be brave. Be brave. Just, don't talk yourself out of something before you've tried it. And I don't mean, some kind of recreational drug or something. I mean, setting yourself a task. I mean, a real, a mountain that you want to climb.
Have a goal.
You want to achieve.
Have a goal and achieve it.
Yeah, and go for it. Don't be afraid of going for it.
Why do you think people were afraid to achieve their goals in closing? That's an interesting question.
Well, I think that they sort of talk themselves out of it before they even try. It's learning and growing is, I think, what life is about. So don't be afraid to do that.
Kathleen,
to take risks.
Kathleen, thank you so much for your time today. Really appreciate it.
It's a pleasure.